Check it. Oh, Specialized Myka. Yeah, it's women's specific mountain bike, front suspension bike. It's a 27 and a half, 29er. Ooh, 29er. Yeah, this is where they were still making dual gender, different bike lines. And since now they've actually reduced that to gender neutral bikes now. In any case, this particular one's for a tune-up, and it was ridden really hard and put away really dirty, wet case. As you can see, there's some shady tree mechanic cable routing mounting with packing tape. We're going to clean that all up, give this bike all the love it needs to get it back into tip-top, like new, if not better than new performance. But yeah, ridden, not too hard, I mean, but it definitely needs some love. So if you pick up a bike or see a bike like this, or is your bike looking like this, let's go and review a few things that you need to do to get this thing in tip-top shape, or have your mechanic, local mechanic, do so. In any case, we will make this thing shine and ride like a champ, like it once was, after this.
Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary how to use one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe.
Before we dive into this, yes, hot mess, we're going to do a little review here. See, the brakes need to be definitely cleaned. Braking issues definitely, the shock definitely needs to be cleaned. Make sure you cycle through. And this is a Sun Tourer one. You don't usually see a lot of shops doing service on these. Basically, they're out the door, and once they're toast, they're toast. I hate to say that, but I mean, it technically can be serviced. We're going to clean it up and see what it needs. Usually, these are pretty basic suspension with spring or elastomer. It's not pressurized by any case. And then we're looking at the cables. Yeah, this is where they lost the zip tie or clips. They usually had a clip, and I'll show you one on the back here. There's still one left. You can use zip ties to remedy this mess here. The tune-up's going to involve replacing the cables in the housing. As you can see, the cable there has been compromised. For at least the shifting, maybe the brakes too. These get kind of a heavy lift, because it's all one big piece for each one. Brakes and derailleurs. So you can see the major kink. If you have a kink like this, it's no bueno. You're not going to have any kind of good shifting at all. That will definitely need to be replaced. You want more of a arc, but we're going to have to clean all that up too. The derailleur looks like it's in good shape. It just needs to be cleaned, as well as the cassette. Lightly stretched, but still salvageable. And look at this dirty mess here. We're going to clean all this up, take it all apart, reassemble it, and check the pads. But looking at the other side of this brake here, I mean, it's not terrible, just dirty and ridden. We'll get rid of that pie plate. That's a zip tie. That's how it's supposed to look, not like that. And we're going to clean this up underneath here. So yeah, let's dive into the Myka and check out and do a little pre-review here. See what I'm going to get myself into. Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with the guy. Hey, I'm Justin the Guy on this old bike series. Woo, not too terribly old, but a little bit older and been used. So yeah, tune-ups like this, or if you bought one yourself, you're going to be looking at a little bit of a cost lift to get this thing back into safe, rideable shape. It's just kind of band-aided to ride recreational. The chain is super dry, all those things. So when you find yourself, well, in a situation like this, either you acquired a bike, bought one used, you can negotiate a good low price when it looks like this. I'm telling you, it's like you roll up and like, if you know what you're doing and working on, you're going to be leveraging. Like, yeah, you want how much for this? Let's take $100 or two, because we're going to be definitely need to be doing a tune-up on it and going through it. I mean, it has good bones. I mean, the lady that rode this wasn't too super aggressive, which is good. That just means it's been ridden a lot dirty and not cleaned. They may not have the ability to clean bikes. I don't judge. I'm a mechanic. Most of my bikes, I don't touch for a long time until something's wrong with them. Yeah, case in point, preventative maintenance in a lot of mechanics worlds is, we only do it when we do upgrades. I don't know. We are definitely not a practice what we preach type creatures by any means. So, yeah, and I've seen bike mechanic bikes that they sold, which they're like, oh, it's been tuned. Did you forget when you tuned that? I mean, seriously. I mean, this is thing. No. Anyway, side note there. Sorry to go down that rabbit hole. But this guy here, Specialized Myka. We'll just talk about the brand here. Specialized, well, obviously, a lot of people know what Specialized is. A pretty big brand up there with Trek and Giant. They did a delineation in the late 90s, early 2000s of women's specific models, which they really put a lot of their bits and money investment into. Body geometry is their big, huge push, as well as retool fitting systems, which you'll see in a lot of Specialized stores, which they charge for the dynamic fitting. Bar and say, in the last couple of years, they went, oh, we have too many SKUs. Like Trek reduced 40%. So to do that quietly, but not so quietly, they can their women's specific. Gender neutral is the direction they're going. So they eliminate half their SKUs on bikes. Clothing, you can't do that. Gloves, you can't do that. But bikes, they can. Reason being is they push that retool fitting, like I mentioned, that $300, $350 fit that they like to upcharge you a whole bunch of parts that basically customize you to the bike. I mean, there's some weight to it, sure, don't get me wrong, but when you're looking at I don't know, this is probably like a $800, $700, $800 bike when it was new. I mean, you're not going to spend $300 to get fitted to you. Take note. In any case, what makes the women's specific model? It was kind of a bait and switch. Some bike models, bike companies, made specific women geometry. Definitely. I think Julian's one and a couple other, Terry is another, brands that were really women specific. Trek and Specialized and Giant though, even though they have the Live line from Giant, I have to really look into it, but I know for sure for Specialized and Trek, it's the same pig with lipstick. I never understood that term. Not really. But in any case, this particular frame you'll find in the men's version. I think, oh, it's not the Crave. It was, I don't know, one of those. And painted a different color. Okay, what makes it women specific? Women specific saddle, bars, and grips. Pretty much it. They do a little shorten the stem. They do that kind of a shorter compact under the assumption of longer legs, short torso, more upright position. There's some weight to that, true, honestly. But if it doesn't come stock like a women's specific on this one here, you're going to be buying the women's specific grips, bars, stem, and seat yourself. They love to upcharge you, so that's going to be another couple $100, please. Thank you very much, and that $300 fit in addition to as well. Yeah, it's really an upsell, upsell, upsell. That's what it comes to, the small parts. They smell blood on the water when they start doing the fit systems, and they're still going to it today. If you want to get one of those dynamic fits done, there's various pop-up, well, I wouldn't say pop-up, fitters like me, kind of in the garage, or they have their own little space, and it's all they do is fitting. They're not affiliated with a bike shop. They are not working for a bike shop. They may have partnerships with them, but they don't work for them. Reason why you want to vet them is they are really basically going through the rehab perspective of it versus the high-end, let's sell you a whole bunch of extra parts that you may not really necessarily need perspective. They want to get you fitted to the bike, not sell you a $300 carbon bar. Those fitters you're going to have to vet in your local area that are not specifically, basically a bike shop trying to upsell you. They're fitters through rehab or rehabilitation, and there's several of them in my neck of the woods, so I'm sure they're probably something close to you. That where warrants the 300 to 350. They're going to tell you the size of stem, size of bar, size of seat, those kinds of things, and address those issues you may have that warrants that type of fitting. If you're professional, racing, injured, what may be the case. Standards, basically static fits, take care of 90% of the time. I know some of you out there are going to comment below like, rah, 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 rah. It does, really. For recreational riding, sure. Majority of the bikes that are being sold are recreational bikes, right? 90% of them, most likely, are recreational. And a good chunk of that huge number is sold by Walmart, Target, and big box department stores. Chew on that for a second. So Specialized, Giant, and Trek are really fighting for this higher niche market. Okay, I know Walmart bikes that make okay bikes, right? They're not assembled correctly or all that, bar all that, but there's still the price points there. A lot of people can't afford that, right? So they're either pushed to used or pushed into like use something like this or into something new, but like Walmart. I mean, it's really hard to give a kid a birthday bike and it's a used one if you really haven't really cleaned it up. So any case, back to this bad boy here. Specialized women's specific design. They are still out there. They will have different size sticker got rubbed off on this one, but keep in mind, like, I don't know that it's actually one for Apple frame sizing, but like a men's medium is going to be a women's extra large or something like that nature. So look at geometrygeeks.com. They'll have a lot of spec sheets on a lot of different models. So you might be lucky there to be able to compare apples to apples there to figure out what frame is what and what those particular will relate to you for riding experience. Yeah, okay, I'm getting really off the case here. But anyway, looking at this guy, let's dive into, that's the Specialized, that's swim specific, road mountain bike, 29er, great little guy, cable actuated brake. It's a great entry level mountain bike. All right, decent, solid. She still wants to, she has other bikes she rides. This is just the unoccasional mountain ride, so she really, or gravel ride, she doesn't really want to invest that much into it in the sense of buying a whole new bike for that. So we're gonna get this one up to the speed, definitely under those costs. Okay, let's talk about costs. What will this cost you? So looking at a bike like this, if you purchased it or have one yourself and you need to have this kind of uplift for it, basically the tune-up you're looking at is going to be around 200. Some shops are going to be 250 to 300, sometimes 400, all depending. It's closer to the overhaul because we're replacing the cables and housing and do a drivetrain clean. As well, for me, I do detailing, so that's a little bit extra lift, and we're going to do a wax chain on top of this, which is going to make it a little bit nicer, smoother, and less gunky, and it's going to be more performance thing. Obviously, they don't lube their chain, so it's pretty dry. Let's go with wax so you don't have to worry about it. If it starts making noise, then you can use the liquid wax version from Silka. But looking at costs, okay, tune-up, 200 bucks. Let's just say that. Flat bar. Drivetrain clean, the cables and the housing, that's going to be another upcharge, probably 20, 30 bucks, depending on the kits that you get. And everything else seems to be just more manual labor of cleaning and so forth. So it could just cost you around $250, $300 to have this bike tuned up, ready to go, be refreshed, and like new condition. If you bought this in the used market, with used market, or actually prices are going down, you actually get yourself in a decent bike, still under 500 bucks. This one retailed for like 900. To get the same quality, you're looking closer to 1,000. I don't know, inflation, whatever the case may be. Their Kool-Aid is really, really tainted right now, so I would really stick with the used market because you're going to have a bike that's going to have a higher value, better performance, all those things, women-specific design, gender fitting, and still keep it under that $500 price point. You're looking at new, yeah, the benefits are new. It's new. They put it together. It's going to last longer. You have a 2-year warranty on the componentry and one lifetime on the frame. Ish. There have been, some of the companies have been getting a little squirrely about their warranties lately, and the warranty is usually a store credit, so it's not like they're going to give you a whole new, depending if it's older, they're not going to give you a whole new bike. You know, you crack the frame on this bad boy, this vintage, they're going to give you a credit to buy a new one at the inflated prices that they have today. Sorry, not sorry I said that, but that is so true. So, is that really worth that new price? We're talking about, yeah, you can take something like this. Okay, the things to be very mindful of a mountain bike. Mountain bikes could be tricky because the suspension, like I mentioned before on this one, is a lower end. Maybe some wrongs with it. People don't maintenance these things in this price point, so you're going to make sure it's working correctly. If you like the bike, that's something you can upgrade. Just keep that in mind. And actually an upgrade would be a hell of a lot cheaper than getting it serviced. Kind of weird. The brakes on this is cable actuated, easy to work on. You can work on it yourself if you know how to turn a wrench. Brake pads are probably the only expensive lift on this guy besides the cables. They're like 15-20 bucks a set. Not that expensive. The chain and drive chain is pretty much your lower end Altus. It's from Shimano. Still works really well. Will do the job. And you can get replacement parts with these all day long. It's not going to be a very expensive lift on that part. So this is not really a bad buy to buy as used. When you're looking at mountain bikes, full suspension, like I have one behind me here. If you're a little more aggressive rider, downhill, higher in componentry, buyer beware. Watch the video on that Rocky Mountain listed below. Reason being, it will cost you a lot if you don't know what you're looking for. So also with mountain bikes, I really hold the golden rule, buy from the original owner. Therefore, they're going to have a little bit of his service history. They're going to know how much it was ridden, how hard it was ridden. Granted, there's some slick oil salesmen out there. They're just going to be like, yeah, I rode the shit out of it, and there you go. Good luck. But most cases, people like their bikes. They like riding, especially if they upgraded. That's a good question. Have you upgraded? Yeah, I upgraded to another bike. I just don't ride this one anymore. This was like their gym, their baby, their proud piece. So they have an attachment to it. Why that is great when you're buying it in a used market from original owner that has, they named it even. It's great because you can go back to them if need be, like, oh man, sorry to tell you, the fork on this is just blown out. I mean, it's a pretty heavy lift. Do you mind, giving some money back on that kind of thing? It does happen occasion. Don't expect it, but at least you can get at least those front questions fielded, and they know, like, yeah, okay. Or you try to catch that at the front end, obviously, before you agree on the price. Let's say they had this one for, I don't know, $250, right? Not saying that's what the market value or anything like that, just running a number. $250. Looking at a $250 on this particular one, I would be like, oh, all the cables and housing obviously need to be worked on. It's holding air, that's good. You check the true. The chain, some bits of the drivetrain might have done. Do you mind knocking off maybe $100? Because I got parts at least are probably going to be that. And they'll be like, it's not going to sell in the state of condition. It is. So yeah, why not? Because right now it's definitely the buyer's market, and definitely in my neck of the woods, most likely in your neck of the woods too. It's just, that's what it is. If you're trying to sell something, don't get butthurt about it, because people are going to be asking for the lower price. I've been hearing it all week long on the bikes and parts I have listed. Well, you do this? I'm like, no, I can't do that because that's below what I paid for it. Anyway, in any case, I'm going to dive into this, and we're going to check out if there's any scaries, and I'll highlight those. If there's nothing really too scary, we'll just review the parts and see what state of the state I am. But as a mechanic, I like to crank the tunes, get focused, and yeah, really just that. Just crank the tunes, get focused, get my vibe, and we will recap. If you want to see any of the ultrasonic cleaning bits, I have videos in my library below. Frame detailing as well, library below. Cables and housing installed, library below. So not missing anything unless you want those specific things. Those are more technical videos. This is just a review and see what we're going to find on the back end of this, and if I'm going to be crying because it's going to cost the customer more, which is going to cost me more time. In any case, estimate time to have this done, probably 5 hours. Not bad, huh? Maybe not. Maybe longer. I don't know. We'll see. See you on the flip side. Oh boy, here we go. All right. Yeah, we did mother's wax and spray ceramic on the wheels with some Armor All. The wheels turned out really good. A little bit out of true, of course, for this age. And look at the cranks, all cleaned up. Yes, I took off the plastic bits separately because this will tarnish or get a weird color in ultrasonic cleaner, so I hand wash those. Ultrasonic cleaned the rear derailleur and the front. Looked good, and there's all the little bits and the crank or the cassettes. Awesome. But yeah, look, I mean, pretty clean, right? So there's the bits. Chain is waxing as we speak. Front wheel turned out really well. I mean, look the difference contrast wise of how dirty it was until what it is now. I mean, you actually can see the logo of the hub. So yeah, that's definitely a win there. And let's look at the bike itself. Pretty clean. There's some boo-boo areas, of course, and chips. It's a mountain bike, right? It's going to have some devils to be released. Clean the calipers there. The disc pads are still basically burnt off, waiting to be installed. But overall, look how clean this came with that coating on there as it's curing. And long housing for the derailleurs. Those are all set. And I cleaned the grips as much as I could. They're definitely a lighter green. And there's that front fork. Awesome, right? Well, once I have the derailleurs strung up, these cables, let's just show you how these are supposed to work, is they have 3 notches to them. Let's see if you can see this. One here, one there, one there. So therefore, once you get the zip tied in there, get the derailleur on the outside and the middle, and the brake is going to be, well, the brake is going to be in the inside, yeah. So basically the idea for a cable and housing to go all the way to the back to the derailleurs, or at least to this point here, is prevent contaminants and so forth. So the contaminants will draw up inside here. Well, you know, yeah, it's a little more expensive lift for longer housing, but it does coat it up so it protects it. So we're going to try to make sure we get this at the right angles where we don't have that kink like we did see in those. So yeah, there they are, the old ones. Here's the new one. Yeah, look at that frame. Actually turned out pretty well considering. I want to say new-like, but definitely refurbished. But hey, after we get this all together, probably about another hour's worth of work, I will take it for a test ride. So we're about, say, 3.5, 4 hours into this project now. And yeah, it's a lot of elbow grease and cleaning. Use the Adams polish to polish the frame underneath that clear coat that I threw on there. So, all right, let's go for that test ride. Here we have it, completed. Woo, look at those. Zip tying those cables underneath correctly makes a world of difference. Look at that. Definitely. Sure beats the packing tape. And wow, look at how clean that all is. Absolutely. Let's take this for a spin and see how it feels. All right. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Take for a spin. Woo. So on those zip ties, if you cut them, you sometimes need to file them down because those jagged edges will slice and dice you. So that's what I did on this guy to make it a little more safer for the rider. All right. Ease into this guy. Beautiful day in the neighborhood here. All right, so I'm going to ease through the gears one at a time. It is a freshly waxed chain. That being said, you want to not jam the gears because basically you provided stiff links to that chain with the wax, and once it sheds, it's super smooth, but you need to get it to there we go. Got some rattling going on. That's all about. Okay. All right. So 1 and 1. It's easiest. Mid. Then drop it down the range. And then check the triple. There we go. We're good. Check the brakes. Yeah, nice and clean, not making a lot of noise. So shifts smooth and stops and safe. That's basically the technical aspects of a mechanic's job. But how's this ride? Upright position feels pretty good. You know, you got your standard 29er mountain biker, which I'm sitting pretty propped up. Person's shorter than me that rides this, so the seat would be definitely lower. That front shock has a nice give. It does have a little a lockout, so if you want to give it to more of a rigid kind of suspension feel, you can while you're riding. But it's aluminum frame, so it's the fast acceleration. It's 8-speed back, so it's not a huge range, but you still have the high and the low is about the same on a lot of these models of that vintage. It's just a smoother transition between those gears. In other words, you can find that perfect gear a little bit easier. More probably noticeable on road riding versus off-road riding, that kind of thing. So other than that, this thing rides great. Super smooth, shifts and stops. Awesome. Great little bike. And actually in really good shape after doing all the tune-up that we did to it. Let's review this bad boy. So what I did is replace the cables and the housing on the shifting. Brakes seem to be okay, so clean that up. Ultrasonic, clean the whole drivetrain, wax the chain, clean the pads, burn off them with rubbing alcohol. Ceramic coated and cleaned the rims, true the wheels. Ceramic coated the frame too, so it has great water bead protection. When I cleaned the shifters out, I did switch, threw some lube in there when I replaced the cables. Only way to get to that cable is to pop this cap off. Also clean the internals. I found spider webs in there before, not this time, but previous bikes as well. But hey, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage today and checking out this Myka from Specialized. And if it's nice in your neighborhood, please go for a ride. If you have one of these bikes yourself, or you know of one or ridden them, that kind of thing, please put comments below. It is community. It makes you to make this channel, so thank you for hanging out with the guy today. Until next time, have a wonderful day. Before you go, check out these beautiful pictures in the sun.